Is astrology a guide to aid us in mastering the universe? This is the Cosmic Community Podcast with Galactic Ambassador Stacey Dredd. This astrology report is for the week of December 2nd, and we are well within Sagittarius season. This week brings us the Gemini full moon, also brings us a lot of interplay with the nodes of fate, and this is going to be another week where we have more of this grand water trine that just will not release. It won't let go. It's the opportunity right now to find some real support emotionally in the water signs. And so this week also brings some really interesting energy with that Gemini full moon. So let's get right into it. On December 2nd, though, we start the week with the moon in Taurus, and Taurus moon is all about creating a stable kind of vibe. Taurus is about providing, and it's about being secure and also having all of the things that we need as far as physical resources go. And Taurus is a sign that's ruled by Venus, so they love the comforts. They love good food and providing lots of food for everybody in the herd. And Taurus is just a very much a financial sign, also dealing with finances. So the moon is here as we start the week. December 2nd brings us Venus, who is in a brand new sign. The planet of Venus is our heart space. It is love and money in terms of what the planet means. And here in our human space, it's the heart. And Venus is absolutely, as I mentioned with Taurus, about pleasures and about the good things in life. This Venus is in a new sign, adjusting to being in a fire sign, being in Sagittarius. And that is an upgrade from all the time in Scorpio. So Sagittarius has more energy. It's definitely bringing a spark back to relationships and our heart space. And Sagittarius is a big energy, likes to go big and take things on like an adventure and talk about really big ideas and philosophy and religion and, really diving into a type of wisdom that it likes to lean back on. And so this Venus is in a sextile with Pluto on December 2nd, and Pluto is at 2 degrees of Aquarius. So as Venus moves across the 2-degree point of Sagittarius is 2 signs apart from Pluto, and that's called a sextile. A sextile is a very harmonious type of aspect. It's where things kind of flow freely and easily, and it's known as being kind of a positive aspect. So this is our love, our heart, our relationships, adjusting to this new, bigger, fiery energy that it's feeling. And this is coming into the space with Pluto, where Pluto wants to transform things. So we are coming to some type of transformative aspect on Tuesday this week in terms of our relationships and where we are at with bringing more energy and enthusiasm to, our time making money and our finances and the adventure that we're kind of going on with our finances right now, taking a risk, taking a chance. Sagittarius is definitely about taking a risk and also is the sign of having the best luck. So it is a good time to take financial risks when Venus is moving through a sign like Sagittarius, where there's so much good luck and wisdom available. And in this Pluto aspect, that is also available. So, it might feel big. It might feel like something has to transform, something needs to just make the change. And it's going to be easy because it's a sextile. It's all just letting things happen on a very easy, harmonious level. And on December 3rd, it's a busy lunar day. So the moon does a lot on Wednesday the 3rd as it's prepping and leaving Taurus. It's going to make a conjunction with Uranus. Uranus is at 29 degrees of Taurus right now at a very critical degree. And Uranus is the planet of surprises and of change and of awakening. So there is going to be an aspect to December 3rd that is like, there is some surprising things that could take place. The moon is going to move into Gemini, and Gemini is where this full moon is this week. So as the day goes on the 3rd, we get that aspect of surprise, and then we're in full moon vibes the rest of the day. And Gemini is very much about collecting data. It's about being social and asking a lot of questions and becoming very curious as an air sign. It's very talkative and definitely likes to gather information and ask a lot of questions and talk things over. And so that is the energy of this full moon as we move into December 4th. And the full moon takes place at 13 degrees of Gemini. So you can check on your astrological birth chart and see where this is falling for you, which house, are there any planets or points nearby, what's going to be affected, what is being asked to come to a culmination point. Full moons are about culmination because it is when the moon is furthest away from the sun in its rotation, and that is known as the point of culmination. Anytime you get these exact opposites in the chart, it's a decision-making moment. It's a moment where we decide to do something. Something has come to its fullest fruition, and now it is time to accept that and start to move out of that cycle. So the full moon at 13 degrees, check your birth chart there. And it's interesting because this is actually in a T-square pretty much exactly with the nodes of destiny. So we have a lot of fate and a lot of destiny and a lot of cosmic course correction that will be coming in here during this full moon in Gemini this week. This is a super full moon, and it's the third of 3 super full moons. And the supermoon is when the moon is at its closest point to the Earth. So it does look dramatically bigger and brighter, and we get them all within the same time period. So this is a supermoon. It makes the lunar influence stronger when it's actually closer to the Earth. Because in its rotation, I feel like I've actually said this a lot of times this last month or two. This has come up a lot. The rotation of the planets and of the moon around the Earth, it's not a perfect circle. It's more like an egg shape. So it goes out into a tip and then it comes round into the fat point, right? And so it's not a perfect circle, and there are points when we are farther away and when we're closer in. So when the moon it comes around as these super moons, they are legitimately closer and they're having a greater impact on the currents, on the water cycles, the ebbs and flows of the ocean, and on storms and on water systems and on us as individuals, because we're 70% water and we become more affected by the lunar influences and the lunar pull also. This is during the week when we are still in the midst of this grand water trine. And even though this Gemini full moon is not in a water sign, it is dealing with a lot of emotional, watery energy around it. And so it's going to be highlighted in this way. In fact, when I look at the chart for this full moon on December 4th at, what time is it here? oh gosh, it's actually later in the day on the 4th. And I'm looking at the chart and it's just water energy everywhere. We have Mercury in Scorpio, Jupiter in Cancer, Saturn in Pisces. Those three are still making this grand water trine. And then Neptune is in Pisces. The North Node is in Pisces. So we also have Black Moon Lilith in Scorpio. Lots and lots of watery energy. And what this brings us is an awareness, of what we're feeling. Okay. So full moons are always known to be culmination points and to be the big points of emotions for the month. Gemini is not afraid to say things. Gemini is a talker, right? And it's going to be very curious. And so there could be some curiosity, some really big curiosities that come out. And it's going to be curiosity about how people are feeling and about how their emotional states are going and how I'm feeling and how my emotions are affecting your emotions and everyone's emotions everywhere right now, for sure. And Gemini is also a sign that is about two sides of things. The sign of Gemini is the perfection of like an interview, like a one-on-one interview, right? Somebody asking questions to another, asking questions, responding back and forth between two people. And so Gemini is known of the sign of two things. Everything always happens in doubles when we've got Gemini energy. And also it can be very two-sided, two-faced, and do like a 180 flip on you also. And so we could feel like we have two sides to us during this full moon. You know, I feel very strongly on one side, but I feel very strongly on the other side also. And this all comes down to what is going on with the big planet of Jupiter in Cancer, because you have to look at the planetary dispositor. I know that sounds very fancy, but it's basically like who in the sky is ruling the show here. So you look at it. We've got the moon in Gemini, the full moon in Gemini. Gemini is ruled by Mercury. Mercury is in Scorpio at the moment. Scorpio is ruled by Mars in Sagittarius, the traditional ruler of Scorpio, and Mars in Sagittarius is ruled by Jupiter, the ruling planet of Sagittarius, and Jupiter is currently in Cancer and is under the influence of this emotional grand trine, and Cancer is absolutely the sign that is more about the home and the family and comfortable spaces, safety, security, making sure that we are taking care of our property and of our things and of our private spaces, our home and our family, our inner world, the private areas of life. So there's kind of a two-sidedness to this full moon already, where Gemini wants this big full moon culmination, but everything kind of melts down to Jupiter in Cancer energy, pulling things in to the inner world. And so over the weekend, you know, we could be sort of dealing with this wanting to turn 180 this way and 180 that way. And so just make sure you're taking care of yourself. You know, when you do feel like you're done with a situation or you're done with something, you know, to take some time away from that and to know that it's okay to break away. And that whatever takes place over this full moon, whatever big questions are asked. And honestly, there's still some big reveals taking place because of the Mercury finishing retrograde in Scorpio. And Scorpio is all about digging things up from the depths, you know, so there could be some big questions answered. There could be some reveals about some things here. On Friday, December 5th, we also have the sun in the exact T-square with the nodes. So this cosmic course correction, this fateful, destined moments and activities and circumstances are taking place Thursday, Friday, and into Saturday. Sunday. And the moon moves into Cancer on December 5th. We start to pull in a little more focus on the foundational energies of our life and nurture ourselves and nurture things a little bit more with Cancerian energy. But then come the weekend, Saturday and Sunday, we do get Mercury going to be moving through this perfected grand trine again. This is where we could see a lot of this revelationary stuff happening as Mercury moves through the third pass of its retrograde. We had the first pass where we got the setup, the second pass where we learned the things that needed to be changed and edited and shifted and worked on. And now we're moving back over it the third time, and it's not new to us. Now is the time to take action and to get things perfectly placed for moving forward. And so this is supportive, this trine. So it's time to get our emotions in check so that we can connect the dots of what we need, what new developments need to take place, how we need to answer the big questions that are, blaring right now, glaring at us. And how are we going to, have this turning point that we've been waiting for? We've been waiting for so long to have a turning point, some big revelation around all of this emotional energy. We need it to fall into place here. And I do believe that that is going to be happening. We're going to have some big questions answered by the end of the weekend as Mercury makes trines to both Jupiter and Saturn. And it's very positive. It's very optimistic and supportive. And so then the moon moves into Leo on December 7th. And Leo's another fire sign. This is kind of nice because of all this watery energy. We might need to kind of lay out in the sun and let our fins dry out a little bit. We've been a little waterlogged, and we need to get that spark to get fired up a little bit more and to move away from all of the processing of the emotions and to actually start to take actions toward where we're trying to go. And then on Monday, December 8th, I think is actually one of those points where we start to take some action. We do see some action being taken. And that's because Mars in Sagittarius is going to make a square to Saturn in Pisces at about 25 degrees. And squares are challenging, yes, but they also require action. They require us to do something about something. Sagittarius with Mars and Sag, this is a good place, okay? It's going to be instinctual, but it's going to be based on that wisdom. It's going to be based on taking a risk, a healthy, positive risk we can be enthusiastic about. And it's also going to be followed up with just plain old-fashioned good luck. But Saturn is definitely going to want to think things through a little bit more here. There could be kind of a reality check that comes in with Mars, the instinctual doer, and Saturn, the father figure that basically says, wait, we need to slow down and think about this just a little bit more. But a square, again, is going to be action. So I think that the Mars in Sagittarius is probably going to rule this one. It's going to also be in Saturn in that trine to Jupiter. And Jupiter is the planet of Sagittarius, wants to see risks come through for you, that these adventures that we're going on right now with big Sagittarius adventurous energy, that it's for a reason. It's not just a wild goose chase right now. There are things that are seriously starting to fall into place here, and we are going to be able to start to move forward from all of the processing that we've been doing. There has been so much emotional processing, and it is about time for us to take some action. So I think, it's going to be a little milky over this week and through the weekend, but that clarity is going to start to come through by Saturday and Sunday, and these big questions are going to start to be seriously answered. So I hope that this is helpful for you, and I hope that you were able to get something out of this that helps you, set yourself up to live a more benevolent life with astrology as a part of it all, because it can be super helpful. It can really help us to do this processing in different ways, not using our brain as much, but allowing the universal wisdom and knowledge to come through from source energy, from the grander, more intelligent wisdom that does exist out there. And astrology reminds us of that. It definitely, even when things are forceful and tough, that it is for our highest and greatest good. So have a wonderful week and a really great full moon. And I'll be talking to you again very soon. Take care. Peace. Thank you for listening to the Cosmic Community Podcast. More can be found at kpov.org/thecosmiccommunity.